Welcome to Unsilent with your hosts Dave and Brian. This is not another current events podcast. We are digging deeper, diagnosing, and discussing what's really going on today, how we got here, and providing observations for future generations.
Welcome to Unsilent. We're Brian and Dave. We'd love to know where you think we got it right and where you think we got it wrong. You can do that by leaving a comment on unsilentpodcast.com, Rumble, our YouTube channel, where we've got 18 gazillion views, maybe not quite that many, but we're getting up there. So you get some. Brian, another day and a week in paradise. How was your Thanksgiving? World didn't blow up, so...
It was good.
Nice.
Yeah. The food was fantastic as usual, and we officially kickstarted the holiday season. It was good.
Absolutely. Same, never bored. Always enjoy this time of year. It's festive, and you can have some positive thoughts and not think necessarily about all the dire happenings in the world. So, which there are a variety.
We kind of had a stretch there where it was kind of moderately quiet and peaceful in the world events, domestic events, and that's kind of changed.
That has kind of changed. So what are you noticing out there?
I'm gonna play a few clips for you today. One of them is a congressman. I'm pretty sure he's from California. I'm not positive, probably, but to set that up though, give us your perception, or give us your perspective. What's going on with Venezuela and the drug boats?
So the top line of the thing is the U.S. Navy. We've got the biggest warship ever created by humankind, the Gerald R. Ford, which is a massive aircraft carrier, hovering around in the Caribbean, and we've got various and sundry munitions that are blowing up drug boats coming out of Venezuela, and at least that's what we're hearing, and in an attempt to decrease the flow of illicit drugs into the United States. And of course, it's a day in E and Y. So whatever the administration does or whatever anybody does, there's going to be a whole bunch of controversy around it and further accusations of all sorts of things, from autocracy to, colonialism and to whatever else. And of course, there's the big discussions about whether we're going to do a land invasion of Venezuela. Maduro's trying to save his hide. And of course, the big one this week is what they call the double tap. The double tap, where a double tap in military terms is you blow something up and then you go back and blow it up again to make sure nothing bad happens. Or if some bad guys come back to see what you blow up, you blow them up too. But that's not what they're saying happens. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, this is where things start to fall off the rails for me. Okay, so. Walk me through that again. What is the complaint?
Well, the complaint is that there are. You mean the complaint of the complaint of the U.S. government, or the complaint of the people who don't like the boats being blown up?
No, the people who don't. I get that the U.S. government is. We've had this 40-year quote unquote war on drugs.
Right.
I think it's fair to say drugs won.
Sure. Yes. That's true.
The consequences for our country are measurable by death, by homeless, by
fentanyl,
family implosion. Like, pick a metric, we can move that. Okay, I get that. Now, I'm not privy to all the details. I'm not saying I would do strikes, missile strike, whatever it is. Okay, forget all that part. I get what they're doing.
Yeah.
What is the argument? What is the double tap argument?
Well, so the double tap argument is the reason that Pete Hegseth is in theory in trouble is because there's the laws of war which say that when a boat is shipwrecked, that you can't attack a shipwrecked boat. You have to rescue. If so, you attack a boat, you blow up a boat. Then they cite precedent from World War II where a U-boat commander blew up a boat that he started to blow up and finished it. And so that's illegal according to the laws of war that the United States and everybody else subscribes to, and that's the complaint.
Okay, this is, and it may be true. Again, this is where I just don't understand it. Okay, what are the percentage of boats that have ever been sunk in war that were sunk in one shot?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I suppose it depends on modern warfare versus pre-modern
Is
warfare, right?
I guess my point is like, if you were a submarine captain for Davistan, whatever
Right.
country, and
I like
you
that.
you
Davistan. I like that.
you you declared war on Brian Ohana, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and I have a ship, above water ship, and you decide you want to sink it. There's a rule that says you can only fire one shot,
Basically,
or
well, that is true. There is sort of a law of war that the Navy and everybody else is supposed to subscribe to. That when you blow it up, if you don't kill everybody, you got to rescue anybody you don't kill. So
okay, but I have seen footage of various countries firing missiles, and they don't shoot one at a time. They shoot
oh
like
yeah,
six at a time.
oh yeah, yeah,
So if I was a submarine captain and I wanted to sink a ship and I was at war,
right,
I'm gonna guess I'd fire more than one torpedo. I'd
yeah,
probably fire four or five or three or whatever the number
right,
is at one time,
right,
right? Now I get that. Okay, you fire your volley of torpedoes, the thing is sinking, and 30 minutes has passed or 2 hours has passed or whatever. Okay, I get that.
right.
That okay. I don't get the part where within 73 seconds you're not allowed to shoot a second shot. That
Sure,
makes no
sure.
sense to me.
Yeah. Well, and this is where, all of these things, the devil's in the details, and you get lost in it because that's exactly right. It's like if you shoot them and a few seconds later you fire another one, that seems like pretty normal, how you
I think
attack
that's how it
stuff.
works.
I think that's kind of how it works. Now, and I don't know this detail. I don't know whether it was like one shot and then another shot, or whether it was one shot and then they waited half an hour and shot another. And I don't know the answer to that one. I don't know in this
Again, I'm
situation.
not this is so far out of my uh, expertise. I have no expertise in this realm at all. I have nothing. I know nothing about the laws of war, let alone even like how the wars are fought. But I got to imagine if you're taking out a tank, you're taking out a platoon of troops, you're taking
Yes.
out a pillbox, you're taking out a whatever.
Yeah.
If you're taking out a pillbox, you don't throw one grenade. You throw like two grenades or
Yeah.
three grenades. Like this,
Yeah.
this is how it works, right?
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
shooting a guy, you shoot more than one time. Like that,
Right.
it just doesn't make sense to me. And again, I get the difference though. You shoot a boat, it's sinking. 3 hours later, you come on way late again. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But that's not what this was. I don't think, right?
Well, and that, and I have to admit, I don't know what the period of time was that elapsed there. But yeah, but that's the claim that's being made. The claim that's
Okay,
being
so
made is
the,
that.
the fact that you and I have spent 6 minutes talking about this illustrates like we are so chasing our tails right now
Oh,
over
see, that's it.
over over. How do I be careful how I say this? People died, and like I'm sorry for them, and I'm sure. By the way, I agree that they were probably put in a horrible situation. I don't think they just did the driving the boat for money. I'm guessing they probably
Right.
do have families who were like, hey,
You bet. You bet.
and if you and I were joined the mafia, like we burn the card on our hand and we go through the whole ceremony, and they say you put the mafia first, like that's the life you sign up for,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And if the mafia then turns on you and says, Dave, you got to go do this thing or we're going to whack your family, like you did that, right? So
Right.
I have complete empathy for the family, but the dude signed up for this, in my made up story. I don't know anything about these boat drivers, but we are so busy chasing our tails on these little details, and we are just so overlooking the big picture on everything.
Right.
We are so missing the mark collectively on the things that really matter, and the amount of energy that is spent on these trivial little
Yeah.
details. The reason I'm engaging in this conversation for whatever's going to be 10 minutes or whatever is because this does illustrate to Kenny G the mode I think just the mode we're in. I'm going to play this clip for the politician,
Yeah.
and I just asked myself, like, this is what we're doing. Like we're arguing over the amount of time that can be, should be spent between
Yeah.
blowing up a boat. I just it's it
It's
drives me
madness.
insane.
It's
It's
madness. No,
madness. Yes, thank you.
it's
It's
abs-
madness.
and that is see, and that's my takeaway too. That's why for a lot of these things, I haven't paid attention to some of the minutia of them. Whether was it, and because then you get into these things like, is 5 minutes too long? Is 6 minutes too long? Is 10 minutes too long? Is where, and you start looking into things that are arcane that you don't have any expertise or knowledge or info that I don't know anything about. It's
Yeah.
like, when the world's sort of burning down around us in a lot of different ways, and we're thinking about the minutia of, and the only, and we have to be honest about this stuff. All of it is just tribal gotchaism. It's
Yeah.
just like, it's just tribal gotchaism. It's not, it doesn't serve any actual real purpose.
I'm not even gonna play the clip. I'm gonna because it's like a minute long. I'm gonna play a couple other things. But this is Ted Lieu, Representative Ted Lieu. I'm pretty sure he's from California. I'm not positive. Um, but he calls these people, these boat captains, shipwreck survivors.
Yeah.
Like that's the term to identify who these people are. They're shipwreck survivors.
Okay.
They're not drug runners. No, no, no,
Right.
no. They're not
Right.
that. And by the way, I would argue if he is from California, I'm not positive. I think he is. If he is from California, name a state that's been more hard hit by the drugs than
Oh,
California. I mean,
exactly.
come on.
And
Maybe
gangs. Yeah.
Florida,
Drugs
maybe,
and gangs.
maybe New
Totally.
York.
Yeah.
So this is the mode we're in. Whether or not you agree with the drug boat strikes, could anybody say that drugs have not had a devastating toll on our
Oh,
country?
yeah.
Okay,
There's no way.
but
I mean,
nobody wants to have that conversation because
right.
you'd actually have to do something meaningful. This is what we're
Right.
going to spend our. He did a whole press conference on how it's against the law to attack these shipwreck survivors. Was the
Right.
name? Okay, maybe he's got a case, fine, but this is the mode we're in. It's just this maddening, go nowhere conversations, and I think this is how the fourth turning unfolds. Is
Yes.
we just get so spun around the axle on these little things. Like again, people
Yeah.
died. I'm not minimizing that, but in the big scheme of things, a boat strike, not on the spectrum of 100,000 people dying a year from fentanyl, or
Right.
millions of people a year destroying their families through cocaine or heroin or whatever. Like it just on the scale, it's just not the same.
Yeah. Exactly right.
And we just have mailed it in on that stuff.
Right.
It's just so frustrating.
Well, and I can guarantee you, I'd wager money that if we had a time machine, we could go back into, Ted Lieu's world and look and see when he ever knew anything about shipwrecks or the laws of war or shipwreck survivors.
Right.
So basically what happened is, so here's the narrative for Kenny G. Something happened that's out of the ordinary. Okay, usually we blow up these boats with one strike because guess what? We got some really killer ammunition, right? So usually we
Yeah.
blow them up. This time it took two strikes. Okay, well, how can we turn this? So then the machine goes into overdrive. How can we turn this into an outrage, into war crimes, into crimes against humanity, into he's the worst Hitler in all of human history? How can we turn this into that? Well, then they go back and they send their research assistants out. There's this thing about the laws of war and shipwreck survivors, and you have to, once you sink their ship, you have to go back and rescue them. He didn't know anything about that. I mean, this is a supposition on my part, but I pretty much guarantee it's a valid supposition because it doesn't even matter. The truth of it for only matters in terms of how it supports the narrative.
Right. And here's the part. Like, okay, if some of these people speaking up had a lengthy or even moderately long track record of voting against wars in general,
Right.
like or regime changes or whatever, like, but there's none of that.
No.
There's a very small minority of Congress people who haven't just gone along with the Iran thing, the Iraq thing, the Yemen thing, the Syria thing, the like
Yep.
like on and on and on and on, going back decades, like the Grenada. I mean,
Sure.
like, for crying out loud. Like these people, like that, all they do is say yes to go blow shit up. That's just all they do. And then, but this is where this is because the other tribe did it. Like it's bad, and now
That's bottom
we're
line.
just gonna derail every ounce of our energy into poured into this conversation. And the thing that I see unfolding is, they're like, we're gonna bring up war crimes. The statute of limitations for that is 5 years. So I mean, you can already see how things are going to go if the if the next election, if the Democrats win the next election, they will retro go after Pete Hegseth or whoever, the captain of
Yeah.
the boat, and like all this stuff. And then where are we at then?
Yeah.
It just there's no coming back from that. If
Right.
if whoever wins the election goes after the other people legally for things we've done for decades, like
Yep.
blow boats up,
Sure. Sure.
tanks and weddings. We blew up a wedding one time, and oops, it
Yeah.
was the wrong family.
Yep. Yeah, it
You know,
becomes we become South America. Essentially, we become South America in the 90s, in the 80s, in the early 2000s. That's what we become, because the only way to avoid it's a I don't know, it's a Faustian bargain. If you get power, then you are a target. And the only way to not be a target is to keep power until you die, or to have people that are friendly to you keep power until you die. Because if you fall out of power, then there's no good faith defense that will protect you when the people who hate you come into power. And so then you've
right.
got one dictator going after another dictator, going after the last dictator, and it back and forth, and who goes to jail and who gets executed.
And then you have to not have to, but it would be very predictable. Then you would start rigging elections to make sure you didn't get beheaded or
Of
hung
course.
or put in jail for prison or put in prison forever or exiled to Siberia or whatever.
So
Like,
everything that happens in those quote unquote banana republics, everything that happens,
yeah,
that's and we thought here that our systems were strong enough that we were beyond that. We really believed that. It turns out
yeah.
that doesn't seem to be the case.
No, I gotta say, given the time of year, this is especially frustrating. That it's supposed to be like the joyous family time of year, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I was kind of thinking, okay, look, listen, we're gonna, it's not gonna be fun. It's gonna be a little bumpy, but we're gonna get through this. And now, like, all that's gone. Like, it's like, okay, there's only two outcomes I can see now. Either a big enough outside threat comes that unites us,
right.
China, Russia, Iran, whatever that would look like, or we're just going to fragment like Europe.
Yeah,
I don't see any alternatives, because if this is just the mode we're in, we're just in
yeah,
this mode. Whatever the other tribe says, you got to say is bad. And forget if I'm Chuck Schumer, forget my long list of things I've supported for 30 years. Every invasion, every war, every incursion, every whatever. This one, nope, this one's bad. Trump's taking us into into a senseless, useless war. Okay, where was that? I don't know, the last 17 times.
yeah. Well, and this is where
He's 0 for 17, and then now he's 1 for 18.
And this is where I think that the news cycle and the social media cycle and the the outrage cycle, if you will, play into all of it, because the everything past a month ago or 2 months ago is memory hold. It's
Yeah.
just memory hold. So we don't even pay attention. This is why people can, you can be an Andrew Cuomo, and you can, disappear for a little while. Then you can come back again and nobody remembers what you did before. This is why
Yeah.
whoever is like, they do bad things. They go away for a bit. They rehab their image. They say they learned their lesson, and nobody even remembers what they did before. And they're back because it's all the emotions and all the outrage. And well, yeah, I remember he did something wrong a while back, but I don't remember what it is. And boy, he's sure better than that dictator Trump.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's wild. Um, the 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 fraud that's being uncovered, the across in different states, like Minnesota's in the hot
Minnesota.
seat right now, like billions of dollars going to causes for immigrants. They have autism, they get extra money, and then these organizations are get paid like $2,100 per person they bring over, and then part of that money, of course, gets funneled into certain PACs to reelect the people who are. It's like a giant Ponzi scheme, and I don't know if we're going to run out of patience or money first.
Well, I guess, yeah, that's a real question. I mean, because but the problem is, I think one of the big problems of this is it used to be people would say things like, and that's billions with a B. And
Yeah,
billions with a B is like, what's on TV? Nobody cares about billions with a B
it's
anymore. People,
yeah,
it's just like it's
yeah.
irrelevant. It's not a thing. It used to be an issue, but now it's not an issue anymore. And so,
Well, I
and
just think we're just so far removed from being able to quantify the impact for us individually. I
right,
mean, for most people, taxes are just taken out of their paycheck every 2 weeks, and they just get accustomed to living on that amount without the taxes.
Right.
And it's just the way it is. Like there's no belief, I don't think, that if for anybody that if some of this stuff stopped, like we would actually pay less taxes. I don't think there's a belief for anybody.
Right.
So like
Yeah.
what's there to get all spun out about? Like who's
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, we're borrowing money, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do that and print money and borrow money, and then we'll just default one day and then we'll start over. Okay.
Well, and this is why we periodically, you and I go back and forth about, well, what's it going to be? What's going to be the fourth trigger or the fourth turning trigger event? Is it going to be external war, Iran, Russia, China, etc.,
Yeah.
or is it going to be internal, strife and collapse and all that? I'm really leaning towards the internal strife and collapse thing, because if you're an external power that is a smart external, and whatever China's doing, I disagree with China's basic operating system of what morality looks like for a state, because they believe that state power is moral. But whatever you say about them, they are not dumb. They are not dumb people at all. They are very smart people, and we
and they have a plan. They don't shoot from the hip like we do.
They've got a plan, and they've got a great amount of control, and they've got a great amount of capability. So if you're Xi, the only thing that argues for Xi starting a war is the fact that he's old. Just like the only thing that really argues for Putin starting a war is that he's personally old. Is the personal aspects of it, but the societal aspects of it are such that let's just let these guys. They're just going to tear themselves apart over in the West. Let them do it.
Or you can listen to Yuri Brezhnev and just they're watching their plan unfold.
Right. They're just let's push a little over here, push a little over there, and it unfolds right before our eyes.
Add a little fuel to this fire over here in whatever state that this time or whatever.
Yeah.
It's again, we had a kind of a period of quiet and calm where it's like, okay, it will be fine. But I see these politicians just get ratcheted up about this stuff that the six senators or Congress people that came out and said that people in the military had a duty not to follow illegal orders.
Right.
And okay, well, have there been any illegal orders? Well, not that we know. We're just preemptively.
We're just making a point. We're just making a point just in case. It's like, okay, sure you are.
All right, so let me share. I'm going to share this clip with you that whether most half the people listening to this in modern times would not agree with her politics, but I think I watched this. She made a pretty solid point, I think, on. I gotta enable the sound. Sorry, forgive me. I gotta. Dang it! Sorry, I'm a newbie on the technical stuff here, I guess. So. It's only been 5 years. All right, I got to turn on the sound. All right, now I can share. It's 2 minutes long, which is something I usually like to play here. But her argument's pretty sound. Listen to this and see what you think.
Okay.
People, they
back and start again.
So for these people, they cannot have you ask questions of substance, because everything is built on a lie. Climate, all those climate programs, all built on lies. The whole race narrative, all built on lies. Does that mean there's no racism? Does that mean there's no difference? No. But what do? They want to take race, they want to take differences, and they want to turn them into problems which can never ever be solved. Okay. So the color of your skin, you can't change it. Therefore, you can never solve this problem.
Yep.
Unbiased racism, it's unconscious. If you're not conscious of it, you can't fix it. And if you look in all of these places, they create issues. Like as a man, you're going to have masculine instincts. They now teach you that masculine instinct is evil. It's a problem can never be solved. CO2. We create CO2 as we breathe out. It's critical for life on Earth. You will never ever. They created a nonsense problem that can also never be solved, because to remove CO2 from the Earth is to kill all life on Earth. So once you start to recognize the tactics, it becomes very, very simple. It's easy. You don't have to be a genius to see the same tactics playing out over and over again. Transgenderism, it's the same thing. This is an attack on us as we were created, to break down communication, to isolate us so that we can be controlled. Why do they have to kill the food supply? Because they have to control what we eat. We have to control our movements. And of course they react like this about race, because at the end of the day, people don't really care. But we do gravitate towards our own. We do like to be with people who understand us. When you marry someone, what is the biggest thing that tears people apart? That my wife doesn't get me. She doesn't understand me. Well, you can, if you're overseas and you bump into somebody from, the United States, you might not have talked to that person back home. But when you're there, you have this common shared history of being American. And so that brings you together. Well, look all over America. New York. The Chinese gravitated towards each other in Chinatown, in Little Italy. I mean, we instinctively gravitate towards our own. So it's okay to do that. But they've made those things that are natural and instinctive in us, they've made those war crimes.
Well,
so for these people,
so here's the part that, again, people who don't agree with her politics will hear those examples and say, yeah, but I would say, by the way, both tribes do this. This is not,
sure.
not unique to one side or the other.
Sure.
Her point was spot on. You create an unsolvable problem,
right?
And you dwell on that, and the only answer to that problem is money,
right? And power. Yeah, cede more of your money and give me more of your power.
So they are unsolvable problems. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we need money to solve these problems. They won't say they're unsolvable. We need money for that, and probably a disproportionate share goes to overhead.
Sure. Say, oh yeah, absolutely.
In executive wages, perhaps, or something like that, as relative to the money that's actually spent, quote unquote, solving the problem.
Right.
So you have this unsolvable problem. You take tax dollars, you facilitate the funds fixing the problem. Oh, by the way, a decent share of that goes to the people in charge of those organizations, and they might decide to contribute to certain PACs or political organizations or whatever to keep the people in power who promote the problem that can't be solved to create the tax money. And it feels like a doom loop. So,
right. And it's power is so, and it's money, and it's also agency, because if it's agency in the sense that and money, of course, is downstream of agency. Agency is just what I choose to do. But if I see something, if I as a human being see something that I can't have an impact on, if I can't do anything about it, then I'm going to give up some more of my freedom. It's that, old Ben Franklin quote, those that give up essential freedom for temporary safety deserve neither. So it's money is important, but it's also just equally important to say that you're giving up your own ability to choose anything of your life, because you realize that this problem I can't do anything about. I can't do anything about all these homeless people that are walking around out here outside of my office. I can't, or whatever whatever the issue is. And so, and when you give up money and you give up agency, right? Money is your work. Agency is your freedom. That leaves you, and this sounds very, conspiratorial, that leaves you as a slave.
Yeah. Or ready to retaliate and seek.
Well, sure, either a revolutionary or a slave.
Yeah,
one of those two. I don't want to be either one of those.
No, I think this is the as we're doing this podcast to explain to future generations what this moment feels like, not covering the historical things, although we talk about things as they come up, but this is what it feels like. As much kumbaya as we had, let's say in like 2005 or 2000 or 1999 or whatever, pick your year that you think we were as close to just live and let live as our society has been in my lifetime.
Sure.
We are anything but that now.
Yeah.
And but I think, again, if you could look like people could say that you and I look at conservatism. Well, what is that? It's wanting to conserve what was. Okay, well, that's an unsolvable problem. You can't go back in time. We can't have that, right?
Yeah.
And so people could argue that, paying taxes to try to make things like they were is the same kind of thing she's describing for our tribe as what the other tribes are. But you just watch the language changing. You watch the now when we blow up a boat carrying $50 million worth of drugs to the country, now they're shipwreck survivors. And now we're doing an evil thing by protecting our citizens from getting killed by these drugs and all the horrific crimes that go along with drug distribution and stuff like that. The idea is we're protecting ourselves from that. Now, you can argue that that's the wrong strategy. Okay. But at least it's something other than Nancy Reagan saying, just say no. And here's your brain on drugs, showing a frying pan with an egg in it. That's right. That's the last substantive thing I've seen us do about the war on drugs. It was 40 years ago, Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that, if people were sort of left if the average person had been left to their own since that last kind of the more general societal, we were all getting along fairly well kind of thing, we would have continued to get along fairly well. So it's really kind of that agent provocateur class that seeks to, accumulate more power and money for themselves that just gin us up, because we should be right now, we should be feeling really good about life on Earth. I mean,
Yeah.
we've solved diseases, we've extended our lifespan, we've got the ability, if we just decided to do it, to feed everybody on Earth. We've got production capabilities. I mean, we could have a Rodney King moment and all just get along. It could actually happen just on a factual basis. So the fact that we're not says that there is either fundamental flaw in the species, or maybe it's two things. Maybe it's both. And there's a fundamental flaw in the species, or that we're being just led by the nose to the things that you and I have just been talking about, unsolvable problems and intractable differences between people that we really shouldn't have intractable differences with, because they're pretty much just us.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely both. I think we have fundamental flaws as the creatures we are, and those flaws are exploited so people can get money to attain power.
Yeah.
I think that's the story.
That's the story. Yeah, that is the story.
which is probably not a new phenomenon in our
No.
history, but I guess what I'm lamenting is I grew up thinking we were immune to this. I really did. I really thought that we had created the perfect mousetrap in our system of government to protect us, like you said, from becoming those banana republics.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is just falling apart. You got these politicians that are either ginning up the stuff. Actually, they're probably doing both. They're probably ginning up the stuff on the front end, quietly behind the scenes in the middle, and on the back end attacking the other tribe with these little waste of time conversations about the stuff they're getting into. Meanwhile, people are saying like real bad things. Like, here's another clip I'm gonna play for you. This one blew me away. I could not believe that this was even possible in our current era. Listen to this. This is unbelievable to me.
I love to overcharge white people and organizations and do pro bono work for Black orgs. And that's just me being very blunt. I will give them ridiculous rates, and then I'll have like a nonprofit or a Black org or somebody doing some work, and they'll be like, I've only got this much money. And I'm like, keep it. A white person just cut me a check. Let's do this for free.
Can you
That's not racism, is it?
I mean, so there's like real bad stuff. Like, I would argue that's bad. I would argue that
kind of like the definition of racism.
Jewish or whatever race. It would be bad if anybody said that. That conversation is said, and just like those things are just, like, that's just
of course, naturally. So, oppressor oppressed matrix once again. Victim oppressor matrix.
Yeah. And then I'll wrap up my tirade here today. I'll share one other thing with you that this is kind of like what we were talking earlier about. Like, there are options presented. You find yourself in these moments. Like you said, you can either be a slave or you do something like these folks are doing. I hadn't heard this organization's name 25 years probably. These are our friends over in the IRA.
Oh, yes.
So here's what they're doing now over in Ireland.
To the people of Newry, Mourne and Down, we, the New Republican movement, have watched their councillors and MLAs over the past 12 months. The level of disrespect shown to the people who put you into power, this cannot be ignored any longer. We are proud men of Ireland. We are patriots. Your policies and decision-making in regards to flooding our communities with undocumented military-aged men is not acceptable. We will not sit back any longer and watch our culture and religion destroyed by the people we put in power. Also, the sexual indoctrination of our children in schools has not went unnoticed either. The New Republican movement will take immediate action against anyone who threatens our ways of life and the safety of our women and children.
All right, so there you go. They've decided they're just going to take matters in their own hands, and you got this video that doesn't look up different than Al Qaeda video or a Trende algorithm video. Like you got the guys in the black mask, and one's holding the long gun, and one's got a pistol, and Okay, so this is so the question is it by design or did it just get out? Is it just getting out of control from the people who like lit the fire?
Well,
Second
yeah, I
question.
mean, yeah, I think, and I think there's certain amounts of both in there as well. I think some of it, so, I've been watching what's happening in Ireland, what's happening in Scotland, what's happening in England. Some of the feed, because I do pay attention. I've got Irish and Scottish background, so I pay attention to what goes on over there. So a lot of what comes in my feed, there's a lot of like angry Irish nationalistic rock. I mean, there's the same thing is true in the Viking countries. There's a resurgence of Viking nationalism. There's so
Yeah.
in each of these countries, so there's a resurgence worldwide of nationalism. So that's happening. There's a resurgence of radical nationalism, such as you haven't heard the Sinn Féin for a long time, unless you pay attention to Ireland. You haven't heard about all of these all of the anger that's in the Scottish secessionist movement. All of these things happening simultaneously. That I think is part of that part I think is natural, and then the pushing of that and the throwing of kindling on that and the throwing of accelerant on that is intentional. So I think there's both of those things that are happening simultaneously. I mean, I'm getting these all of these, and they're very catchy tunes about with like these Irish guys standing in front of brick walls and lamenting that their grandfather worked the land, and I mean it reminds me of the Irish Republican Army wars in the 70s and Britain. I mean, just but on a grander scale. It's on a much grander scale, and you transplant that any place almost in the world now and see these fires of revolution happening wherever. I mean, just wherever.
Yeah.
Look at what could happen. Look at Iran. What's happening in Iran? They've got a water shortage in Iran. They're worried about the Iranian regime is attempting to cozy up a little bit at the same time that they're calling us the Great Satan. They're still trying to cozy up to us a little bit because they figure that their days may be numbered because they got a water shortage. Look at you fuel shortages, gas shortages in Russia. Russia's got to keep the nationalistic spirit high and on alert to detract from the fact that they've got gas lines and their economy has got problems. I mean, just go wherever you want to go. China's looking pretty good. I mean, it's just like, that's why I have to be careful how I say this because they are an ideological adversary, but they're doing some pretty doggone smart things, but they got their own problems too. So everywhere, it's
their real estate market's imploding. It's
imploded completely.
So here's my question that I've been trying to figure out a better way to ask you this. This has been my plan for like 5 days to ask you this because I honestly don't know the answer and I don't know how to ask it any better. What is the real battle? What is the real fight? How would you explain to Kenny G, the guy 70 years from now, who you and I are long gone, our kids are probably long gone. What is the real battle?
Well, I mean, the historical long-term battle and what leads to these cycles that we go through is the battle for utopia, human utopia, the battle for human perfection. I mean, if it really comes down to it, it's and the disillusionment when our successes don't lead to that. I mean, you could summarize the entire sociological, work of, and they're brilliant. I'm just a dude that runs a marketing company in Tacoma. Howe and Strauss, when they wrote The Fourth Turning, Generations, all these different books that talk about these cycles, and all of them point towards a single thing. We want to perfect the species. We want to perfect humanity. Every dictator believes that they're going to, Hitler's going to have 1,000-year Reich. They want to perfect he's going to perfect humanity in, of course, his image, because human selfishness always comes into it. Stalin is going to, or Lenin or Trotsky or Mao. I mean, Mao viewed himself as a philosopher. These grand, and we as a society, but we can't just exempt ourselves from this either, because I would not be, if I was Chairman Mao, I wouldn't have done what Mao would have done. But all the time we say, but we've got a good idea. Well, we're going to have to go a little bit farther to implement this good idea. A little bit further. We got to kill all the university professors in Beijing we got to kill all the people over 50. All of these different things It's all in service of one principle, and that one principle is human perfection. And that one impossibility in our political systems and in our sociological structures of reaching is human perfection. So you've got an
Yeah.
unattainable target.
My version is similar but a little bit different. It feels to me like it's just a perpetual fight over what is quote unquote fair.
Sure, because utopia is in utopia, everything is egalitarian and fair.
I think we're saying
Yeah.
similar things,
Yeah, you bet.
slightly different variations. But
Yeah.
if you look at the crowd who's like, we can bring in every immigrant who wants to come here, and we will just give them whatever
Right.
social benefits necessary. That's their version. That's their understanding of fair.
Yeah.
And for the guy who's making $18 an hour, driving a forklift, it's not really going to hurt your life. Like
Right.
they say, dramatically improve these people's lives. And it's not really going to hurt your life that bad. For that guy who's making $18 an hour driving a forklift, is like, well, I'm kind of in a situation where if my wife gets a job, it costs us more in daycare for her to get a job, and we would lose the benefits we might be getting because now we make too much and we get to pay daycare.
Right.
So yeah, maybe he could make an argument that that's not fair. And it feels like it's just a fight over what is fair on the global scale
Right.
and on the domestic scale and even on the micro scale. What's fair for those homeless people living outside your office right now? What's fair for you as a taxpayer?
Yeah.
Well, it's just a fight over that. And again, you could call it utopia or fairness, utopia. I think we're saying
Same thing.
different sides of the same thing. And there's just nothing to unify anybody until there is. That's kind of the thesis of the books, I think, that you and I kind of track along with.
Yeah, well, it is. And see, and I'm going to relate this again back to China. Because I was listening to a Chinese economist or an economist that is sort of evaluating how China works and all the kinds of, where they've been through the last 30 years, where they're going. And even in their model, their belief system is such that if we fix the middle kingdom over a period of time, and then we're going to have a model that is fair and is just, and on a societal level, it's the most fair and it's the most just and it's the most righteous and it's the most true. So you can't look at somebody like Xi Jinping or the Chinese Central Committee and say that, well, they're just, they're Dick Dastardly twirling their mustaches and they're out to do evil. They believe in what they're doing. They believe in their project.
Yeah.
They just have a way of going about it, and that to them is very natural, and to us is very evil. And so the definition of fairness, how you get there, you got to break a few eggs kind of scenario. Right. Well, that's fine.
And by the way,
you're the egg.
Name a big leader of a big organization or a country or whatever. Pick your favorite one. Abe Lincoln, George Washington. They did horrible things along the way.
Sure, you bet.
People got hurt.
Suspend habeas corpus. I mean, there's people that I know today that are like that whenever I quote Lincoln, and one of the brilliant things that Lincoln said, how can he's an anti-constitutionalist dictator, you suspended habeas corpus. It's a matter of the path to where we want to get to, and some general agreement on this, but we'll kill you on the way to do it our way.
Our ways. I mean, I think about this all the time, because especially like I would not say I'm a history buff. I do. There's certain eras I pay attention to that I enjoy. But you look at like the generals of the South in the Civil War, writing letters to their wife, quoting scripture, and all that stuff. I firmly believe those guys thought they were doing the right thing, and I would argue they did. Yes, that's wrong.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt they believe they were doing the right thing. I think that there are certain people in history that ultimately, maybe if they weren't evil to begin with, they became ultimately evil when they just succumbed to all of it. But I think there's plenty of people that we would look at historically speaking, and say that we would say they're evil, but in their own minds and for the majority of their careers did not believe that they were doing wrong. I mean, it's just like when you go into prison is filled with people who believe they've been treated horribly unfairly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a common thing. There are people that are doing the things that they're doing, don't believe they're doing them because they're bad people. They believe they're doing them because they've been treated unfairly, and it's
Right.
wrong. And so I'm justified in doing this. Everybody, I mean, I think, the probably commonality of everybody on earth is we all think we're justified in whatever we're doing. You know,
At
I
least in the moment, for sure. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I
In
mean,
hindsight,
then we
trust
realize
me.
we're idiots, and I mean, yeah, I mean, then you realize what
Still
the
get the
hell did I
time. What the
do?
hell?
Yeah, exactly, right. But
Oh,
that's
geez.
human society, and that I think is the answer to why these
Yeah.
things happen, and it's also the answer of why these things keep repeating over and over and over. Why is it not just we would love to believe in a utopian world things would go upward and to the right forever, things would just keep getting
Yeah.
better and better, and eventually we get to Star Trek, and then we
Right.
civilize the universe. We've civilized Earth and the Federation. Now we're civilizing the entire universe. But it's just not how human beings work.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's a bizarre spectacle to watch.
Yeah,
It's so maddening. Again, the amount of resources we have in our little country and
yeah,
globally, the good things that could be done are pretty amazing. What could be done,
yeah.
and we're arguing over, you know, things that I honestly like. We talk about the people living outside your office there. I have tremendous empathy for those people.
Oh,
I promise you,
absolutely.
none of those people want to live like that.
Yeah,
Um, but nobody will have the guts to come forward with a legitimate, like, actual plan to like make
right.
it better. It's just like sweep it away. Let's just write bigger checks
Yeah,
and just like we all just learn to deal with it. And nobody's getting helped. It's not making
right,
your community better. It's not making the people who are homeless. It's not making their lives any better.
right.
It's not making it better for kids who want to play at the parks and they can. It's just the whole thing is just. But if you had somebody who had a plan like that, they would not get voted into office.
No, they
Probably.
wouldn't, because they're going up against, because what derails those plans always is selfishness. So we've got, human beings we're equipped with a couple of different things. We are, self-preservationists first and foremost. I mean,
Yep.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If I can't eat, then if I don't have enough water or food, and then next tier down for my family. If that is not the case, then fairness for anybody else is just out the window. And it's just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's who we are. It's who every one of us individually is. And that's how we've survived is as a species. That's how we've come to dominate the planet. But so you've got that, but then you just take that to the next level. And then we've got these altruistic impulses and these long-term planning impulses, but then we've got the short-term satisfaction and I'm hungry today impulses, and they
Yeah.
fight against one another. And
Yep.
so
I
we
want to
end
lose
up
the weight, but I like ice cream.
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's just again the nature. But the only way we really get out of these is, you're right. We only get out of these if we go back to survival mode, and we all agree that we're only going to survive together.
Yeah.
So we get reduced to our base
And
instincts.
yeah, so that the threat, whatever the threat is, has to be lower on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Right now, we're
Exactly.
dreaming or aspiring for the self-actualization level, the very
Right.
pinnacle, the tippity top, and pretty soon it's going to be, a much lower level of things that we have to unite around.
Exactly.
Um, I guess the thing I would just say this week is looking forward now that this whole lawfare thing of you lose the election, we're coming after you, and again, whether you think it started with Trump getting gone after or you think Trump started it, whatever. Pandora's box is open now.
Right.
And I don't think we have the people with the talent or the will to steer out of it.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's and history would say that too. History, I think, we know it. Doesn't repeat; it rhymes. We don't. We're going on this collision course. We're gonna bump up against whatever it is. I would hope it's in 40 years, because I'm selfish and I don't want to be around for it. But That's not how it works. It's probably going to be in my lifetime because we all have to go through it in, I mean, my dad started off in the tinderbox in the Great Depression. He was born the year of the Great Depression. So he had to start his life with that. For us, it might be near the end of our lives that we have to go through that. But it seems to be our lot in life as human beings with our, average human lifespan, that's the way
everybody gets a turn, what you're saying.
Everybody gets a turn. Everybody gets a turn. Anyway. So I had my ice cream. I'm going to have to eat the broccoli. Just the way it is.
All right. Well, man, what just a wild series of news clips. Again, whether you're a person living today focused on Venezuela or you're a person today focused on the drug epidemic or the colossal amounts of waste and fraud that are being exposed all the time. And most people, it's just you just go enjoy your kids.
Yeah.
What choice do you have, right?
That's it. Just enjoy your kids, get prepared, be ready, and that's all you can do.
Yeah. Well, on that positive note, I will
say,
what a
cheery thought.
Remember what Dave said in the beginning, we're trying to explain to future generations what this moment in time feels like to live through. And we'd love to hear you think we got it right or we got it wrong. You can do that Unsilent podcast, or Rumble has a great comment section. We'd love to hear your input there. Until next week, this is Dave and Brian saying bye-bye.
See you next week.
Do you want to be unsilent? Make your voice heard on our social media channels and share where you think we got it right or wrong. Go to unsilentpodcast.com for social links so you can join the discussion.